folks, I'm Michael with BC Shaver and Hobbies, and this is the Traxxas TRX-4. This is the first in a series of product reviews and other videos that we're going to be doing for stuff that we carry in the store. So if you'd like to see more, please subscribe to the channel. Now, the TRX-4 is a 1/10 scale radio-controlled crawler and trail truck from Traxxas. This is a very off-road focused vehicle. It has full 3-link suspension in the front and 4-link suspension in the rear, so you have a whole lot of articulation, so you can climb over pretty much anything with this vehicle. It's 4-wheel drive, of course. It has a 2-speed transfer case, which is shiftable from the remote, so that's a fairly unique feature. So you have a low gear for crawling over steep obstacles, getting over rocks and stuff, and then you have a high gear for a higher top speed, and it'll get up to maybe 12 to 15 miles an hour. It's not really built for speed, but it's faster than almost any other crawler in its class out of the box. Now, there are several different body styles available for the TRX-4. This is the Land Rover Defender. This is the first one that they came out with a few years ago. There's also a Ford Bronco, a Chevy Blazer, and a Mercedes G-Wagon available. They all perform the same, they all have the same features, and they're all priced at about $650 Canadian. That includes everything you need to get started except a battery and charger, which we'll get to in a little bit. Anyway, let's just have a quick look around this Land Rover Defender body. This is a Lexan body, like most RC cars, so it's clear plastic painted from the inside, so it won't scratch if you roll it over. This also has quite a few hard plastic detail parts that make it a bit more sturdy and a bit more scale looking, like this roll cage and roof rack, the fender flares, and some of the smaller scale detail parts like the mirrors, and around the back you have these gas cans, the jack of course, which is not functional, and a spare tire which is functional. This is identical to the wheels that are on this thing. It's a full rubber tire, it has the foam insert in it and a plastic rim, so I mean it's unlikely that you're ever going to damage one of these tires out on the trail. They're very sturdy, but if you somehow did, you could replace it with this tire and it would work. So that's kind of cool that that's functional. These lights are not illuminated from the factory, but you can get an LED kit for it. The grille, of course, is also plastic, and it's the same deal with the headlights. You can get an LED kit for those. They are clear lenses, though, so even without the LED, they look pretty good. And then you have this bumper, which is attached to the chassis rather than the body, so it's very sturdy, and these little tow hooks, which I guess could be functional if you want them to be. And there's also some little plastic detail parts up front, like the winch and the snorkel. All in all, I love the way this scale body looks. It is licensed by Land Rover, so it's all accurate. Traxxas does really, really nice scale bodies on these crawlers. I think they're some of the best on the market, in my personal opinion. Anyway, let's pop this body off and have a look under the hood. It's just held on with 4 body clips, as is usually the case for these. One other nice little touch is the plastic fender liners that help keep mud and rocks from getting up inside here. And this body is quite a bit heavier than a normal Lexan body just because of all the plastic stuff on it, but it is very sturdy. Now inside here you have a fairly typical crawler layout of motor in the middle. This is a 21-turn 550 size brush motor. As I said before, the transfer case has 2 different gear ratios which you can shift from the transmitter. This lever, right now that is first gear, and that's second gear, so that sends a signal to this servo, which does the actual switching of the gears. You can sort of see the suspension here. You have these drive shafts going to both axles. This suspension is full metal links, so it's very, very sturdy, and you do have a ton of articulation here. Another really cool feature of the TRX-4 is the portal axles. These allow the axle itself to be higher than the center line of the wheel, which gives you a bit more ground clearance in the middle and lets you get over bigger obstacles. And like most Traxxas vehicles, this is fully waterproof on the inside. Obviously you don't want to submerge it, but you can drive through puddles and stuff without worrying about anything. The radio receiver is inside this little sealed box, and this is the XL5 HV speed control. So it behaves just like the regular XL5, but it can take a 3S LiPo. The battery hold-down system in these is quite clever. You have this little arm that pivots here, and if you put it down this way, it'll take a 2S LiPo or a nickel metal hydride, or if you flip it around this way, then it sits up a bit higher and you have room for a 3S LiPo in there. And the battery cord fits very nicely under there. This just snaps into place, and this has a Traxxas plug, so if you're using any Traxxas batteries, just plug and play, but if you're using a battery with a different connector, as I am, you do need an adapter for that. While we're looking at this side, another cool feature that this has is remote locking differentials. Now, most crawlers either have the differentials permanently locked or permanently unlocked, so if they're unlocked, then if you get stuck, one wheel could be spinning in the air and you won't go anywhere. But with the locking differentials, you can have open differentials while you're driving on flat ground, so it handles a bit better and the tires don't sort of scrub as you go around corners. But if you get into a tough spot, if you need more traction, you can flip this switch. That's fully unlocked. That's just the front locked. That's both of them locked. And that is really useful for getting yourself out of tough spots and getting up steep grades. And it's these two little servos that do the actual locking and unlocking of the diffs. These have little cables that go to the diffs that do the actual mechanical movement of the gears. And while we're at it, the shocks are very nice on this as well. These are all metal, oil-filled shocks. They're very sturdy, they give you a very smooth ride, and you can adjust the height by twisting this little ring at the top. Now before we go drive this thing, I'd like to have a quick look at the transmitter. This is similar to your normal Traxxas TQ transmitter, but this one has a few extra features. Obviously you have the switch on top for the locking differentials, you have the gear shifter down here. You also have this switch for the throttle trigger. If you set it to 50-50, then 50% of its travel is forward, 50% is reverse, or you can set it to 70-30. So 70% is forward, 30% is reverse, just depending on what you prefer. I like to keep it at 50-50. Another cool feature this has is cruise control. If you're just driving along, while you're driving, you can hit the set button right here and then let go of the throttle and it will continue moving at that same speed. And just like a real car, if you want to cancel cruise control, all you do is lightly brake. Anyway, enough chit chat. I think it's about time we saw this thing in action. Roll the driving footage. folks, well that just about wraps up my review of the Traxxas TRX-4. There is one other thing I wanted to talk about, which is batteries. I was running this on a 3300 milliamp hour nickel metal hydride battery. I was out running it around the park for about an hour and a half, and the battery was not run all the way down by the time I took it home. So this will run for quite a long time on pretty much any battery. You can use nickel metal hydride, or you can use a 2 or 3 cell LiPo battery. 3 cell will give you quite a bit more power and speed. Highly recommend this vehicle, whether you're new to the crawler scene or whether you've been in it for a while. Obviously, it's very upgradable, like all Traxxas vehicles. You can replace any part if you break something, although it's unlikely that you will. It is very sturdy. So, yeah, it's got a recommendation from me. If you'd like to buy this TRX-4 or any other hobby products, you can visit us at BC Shaver and Hobbies in Hillside Mall in Victoria, BC, or online at Capital Hobbies. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe to the channel. I'm Michael, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.